It's Rebecca here, and this is day one of broadcasting from my studio. And I've had a few tech issues with this, so just bear with me if you're having difficulty either finding the live feed on YouTube. We'll work that out, or yeah, that's probably the only difficulty you'll have. It's me who has all the other ones. So I wanted to come to you live from my studio a little bit every day just to work together on doing some weaving. So I'm a tapestry weaver if you don't know me, and this is my current studio. Welcome. Not always a mess, but okay, I just got the thumbs up that it seems to be working. It's coming through in the feed. So I will be able to see your comments, and if you have questions or anything, let me know. I am trying to run a couple different things at once, so I will get better at this, I promise. It looks like a few of you have found me already, so I appreciate you showing up. I am happy to answer questions if you have any. I would love it if you took this opportunity to do your own tapestry weaving. And I'll show you different things every day at the moment. I'm working on a piece that was supposed to be for renditions. So that is the unjuried small format show of the American Tapestry Alliance. And it's due on Tuesday. Wait till you see how much I have left to do. Here we go. That's where I am. You can't even see the top of the piece in this view. So that tells you how far I have to go from here to get to the end by Tuesday. I don't think I'm going to make it, to be honest. I do have a backup piece, but yeah, I want to just use this one because it's the one that's on my table right now, and we'll talk about tapestry weaving and do a little bit of weaving together, and maybe this will get us all inspired to weave every day. Let me know if you can't hear me. I actually had to put my mic way over here, and you can actually see it here. It's way over here on the side. So I suspect when I turn away, you might not hear me as well, but I'm glad that you're here. Let me go back to this other view for a second. I'm so glad you're all here, Alec and Jocelyn and Jennifer, and those of you who have YouTube channel names that are not your names, welcome also. Yes. Okay. So Crafters Market. Hi, whatever your actual name is. Following up on a Facebook Live question, have you ever woven in the ends as you go instead of after taking it off the loom? Oh, Audrey. Sorry, Audrey. Yes. So that's a great question, Audrey. And I did an online class with Sarah Sweat called Fringeless, and it was really fun to watch her. I got to watch her weave in her studio for a long time. And it was fun to watch her because she actually incorporates the ends as she's weaving. Most of the time, she actually pulls the tail all the way in. So she's using technology. She's using the end of the yarn like this and fraying it and then pulling it all the way into the shed. So here, let's do it like this. I'll just show you. So Sarah would, if she's weaving a form, she would fray the end of this yarn and pull it all the way in like this and then keep weaving. She's using a wool hand spun that's really grabby, so it depends on what kind of yarn you're using. But I have also needled things in, especially when working from the back as I go. In general, it depends on what the yarn you're using is and all of that kind of thing. Good. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm glad you can hear me. Missy, great. Starting a wedge weave piece while I wait for my saffron. Cool. Those saffrons will be here soon, I think. That's the new loom from, sorry, Mirax. Let's see. I can actually, I think I can do this. Let's see. Oh, look at that. I got picture in picture. Okay. Let's see if I can move that over a little bit. And Yeah, Karen says she needs to get back to weaving. I think we all need to get back to weaving, Karen. Um, I feel like the world's a little crazy right now. So what I'm doing here, I'm just going to dive in and weave a little bit, and you guys can jump on whenever you need to. And if I miss your question, I'll be back tomorrow. So what I'm doing here is, oh, let me show you what piece I'm weaving. I figured out how to do this also. So here's the cartoon. And I'm weaving it sideways. So you can see, hold on, let's see if I can move it over here. So you can see here that this piece is sideways from what this is. And that is because I wanted all of these little things to be smooth. So I can weave them. So if you see here, I'm weaving sideways. They're all, I can make these lines smooth because I'm weaving it sideways, which is cool. So the idea of this piece, it's 10 by 10 inches. It was supposed to be for renditions, which is the Unjuried show. And I think it's fairly clear that it will not be done by then, although I do have a weekend, so I might get lucky. Yeah, I'm weaving this sideways, and the title is Hot Flash, and some of you will appreciate this. So that is actually a foot, and it's supposed to be sticking out from the covers. And this particular piece is I consider it part of my tapestry diary. It was just for fun. It was not, and I just scaled it up because I wanted to use it for renditions. So anyway, that's what this piece is. It has 2 sets, and let's see, let me get rid of that. It has 2 sets. So this is at 16 ends per inch, and this is at 8 ends per inch. And today I am going to work on the 8 ends per inch part because it's pretty hard to weave the 16 ends per inch, and you'll see me squinting. So I think, oh yeah, look at that. So I can actually, okay, so you guys, I'm geeking out on this. I can put someone's comment on the screen. So I promise I won't put anything crazy on the screen, but hi, Sarah. She said yes, she would, and that is probably because I was trying to describe how she would pull the ends into the tapestry. So that's fun. Sorry, I'm really, I'm always happy when there is new tech and it actually works. So hello, Mariel from Basel, Switzerland. Very cool. Linda's working on chevrons in Warp and Weft Part 2. Let's see. Harlan, I did not get your question, so pop that in again. Oh, nope, I don't think I saw it, Harlan, so try it again. Hello from Durango. Kit, Durango, I love Durango so much. Harlan says it's almost 80 degrees in Louisville. Woo! Sarah, thank you for weaving along. Delanaga. Yay. Beata? I'm probably not going to say that right, but welcome from Delanaga, the home of the beginning of the Appalachian Trail. Yes. There are a lot of very, very sad hikers this year because the trail associations have recommended people get off the trail, and it's really hard and that's for the sake of the towns that they all go through. Anyway, hello from Delanaga. Billy, glad you got untangled. Okay, cool. Yay, Lynn, I'm glad you found it. These will all be recorded also, y'all, so you can find it on my channel. So back to, let me just show you this weaving a little bit. And what I'm going to do is build up this next curve for the next line. And I'm using silk for these because I want it to be shiny. So like I said, the title of this is Hot Flash. Those of you who are in your 40s or older will understand why I have decided to do this. Also, I should say this was inspired by Pat Williams. So if you don't know her work, you should go and look at it. She has a website. I think it's patwilly.com. Someone here will know. And she does these wonderful graphic pieces that are they just make me laugh. And so I felt like I needed something happy because things seemed kind of tough these days. And I don't know that weaving a piece about hot flashes is happy, but I thought it was funny. So that's what I'm doing. Thank you to Pat Williams for her inspiration. Also, another inspiration in this vein are Ruth Manning and Sarah Sweat. They both do really wonderful sort of graphic, funny things. So let's try to keep things a little lighter when we can. Kit, I will come and visit Durango when this is all over. Definitely. Hi, Helen from the UK. I apologize to the people in Australia. I know it is a horrible time there to be coming to a live event, but for the rest of the world, except for probably Asia also, it seemed like a fairly good time. Welcome Marlena and Jill and Patricia and Marilyn down in Pueblo. How is it in Pueblo, Marilyn? It's snowing here today, so I'm in Fort Collins. Okay, so what I'm going to do is build up this curve. So I'm going to build up this curve, and I'm using the silk. So this yarn is Harrisville Kohler Singles, which I dyed myself. I actually dyed this yellow for something else, but when you have a big stash, it's you just can go and find what you need. It's 3 strands of Harrisville Kohler Singles and hand dyed, and then this is Weaver's Bazaar. So the blue is 18-2 Weaver's Bazaar at 16 ends per inch, and the silk is this great stuff that Weaver's Bazaar sells. It's actually 62 silk, so it's very thin, but it plays really well with their other yarns and with the Harrisville. It's just enough grabby that it works really nicely. So thanks to Weaver's Bazaar for selling that yarn. Okay, so what I'm doing is building up a shape, and this is what I wanted to show you today. Or not really show you, just this is what I'm weaving, and you do whatever you want to do. But you can see how the curve is like this. I'm going to build up this little part of the curve and then outline it eccentrically. Hi, Jill from Albuquerque. I grew up in Gallup, New Mexico, so Albuquerque is a place I love. Sunny in Pueblo. Enjoy it, Marilyn. You probably won't get our snow. Nancy, Frederick, Maryland. How to fix a row of lice? Oh, great question, Nancy. So if you have the lice, like if you put 2 wefts in the same shed and the lice go all the way across, to fix that, you just gently separate those 2. So like I could pull apart the weaving, separate them if they were in the same shed, and take a needle with the yarn and weave it into the shed that's missing. Basically, there's a shed that's not there. There's a weft that isn't there, a pick that you missed. If you separate the weaving and weave that pick in, it will fix it, and it's kind of magic. You have to make sure to leave the weft a little bit loose so that it covers the warp. But it's if that's what you did, if you had 2 wefts in the same shed, which I tend to call a double shot, you can fix it that way. And I am running out of yarn, which I should have pre-anticipated. So on this piece, some of you know that I sometimes ply this yarn on a spinning wheel, but I don't always do that. And it doesn't actually look really any different whether I ply it or not. And in this case, I'm not plying it. But I am splicing because I'm not pretending to be Sarah today, who would have just managed this much more elegantly than I am doing. But this is just a little splice. You'll also notice I'm weaving from the front. However you do it is fine. There are no tapestry police. And if there are tapestry police, they're not good people, and you should find other friends. So that I spliced in a new piece there. What I'm doing is building up. I think you can probably, yeah, you can see that curve there. Building that up. I tend to, even though when I don't ply it on the wheel, you notice I just did that automatically. I twisted the yarn to give it a little twist, especially these. I wanted the colors to blend, and they'll blend better if I twist them like that. Oh, I'm glad it's sunny in the UK, Helen. The Netherlands, Matilda, thank you for coming. South Carolina, hi, Michelle. Yay, Sheila. She got the fringeless class, which is the one I was talking about that I did with Sarah Sweat in December, and she's got a loom and she's ready to weave. That is awesome. Okay. So other things I'm thinking as I'm trying to talk to you. Oh, I messed that one up. So I'm looking at hill and valley threads, and I wanted this one to be on a valley. I want the turn to be on a valley thread because I'm looking at this. This is a hill thread. I want it to be on a valley thread because I want this to be as smooth as possible. I am going to outline it eccentrically with a split weft, so it's not a huge error, but I move that over one and you can see it's a valley thread because it's going behind that warp. I want the weft that's on the bottom of this curve to be creating valleys as it steps up so that when I outline it, it's as smooth as I can get it. I'm also trying to maintain the hatching here, where I'm hatching these two colors together, and eventually here I'm going to have to drop out one of those, which is going to change my shed. If you watch carefully, you'll probably see me fudge. Don't tell anyone. Okay, again, so if I just returned here, I would create a hill thread here. I'm going to wrap this raised warp and come back. And remember, I'm weaving from the front. If I were weaving from the back, it would be flipped around. If you're in the design class, there's going to be a video this next month about hill and valley threads, so you'll have a better description of that. Let's see. On this side, I just went ahead with the hill thread because this is steeper, and I was more interested in having that step over there than having that side of the curve be perfectly smooth. Hi, Deborah. Glad you're here. Hi, Shishi from Boston. Awesome. Kit, can I say more about hills and valleys? Sure. So every time you wrap, here, let me see if I can push this up. Every time you wrap a warp, let me get this out of the way, it will create either a hill or a valley. And let me see if I can actually zoom in here. Okay, I think you can see that. So here, let me get a little pointer. Every time I've wrapped around here, and this shed is open. Let me show you that since you can't see my shedding device. So that's the open shed. Every time I go around, it's either going to create something that looks like this one. This is a hill thread. It came around the front of that warp. And these are all valleys. They go behind that warp. So the valleys, I'm creating a shape that is decreasing in this direction, and those valleys will sink down farther than the hills. The hills will create a little bump. So because I want this to be a smooth curve, I want the the stepping back on the underside of the curve to be on the valley threads, which will make them sink in. Basically, it makes the angle sort of sink down more. And so instead of seeing little tiny steps every time I came over, it'll be smoother. Hopefully that helps. Okay, I have to decide what I'm going to do with, let me back, well, it's not bad there, is it? Okay, I'm going to leave it right there. I have to decide what I'm going to do with this lighter color. I have to drop it out, which will shift my shed. I'm going to go like this. Hi, Leslie. I'm glad it's sunny in Vermont. I miss Vermont. Sometimes. I go there every year to do a retreat. It's really beautiful. And Leslie has been there. Oh, Jennifer, she's talking about my shed stick. This is my favorite shed stick, and if I ever lose it, I'm going to cry really bad. It says, can I even see what it says anymore? It says holly and hoket. So this is one that Jim Hoket made out of holly. It's a really hard wood, and it's super pointy, and it's thinner than some of his, or it feels like it's thinner because it's so pointy. Jim has retired, of course, so you can't get those shed sticks at the moment. Other people have great shed sticks. I don't want to say you can't get them. You can't get them from Jim Hoket. All right, let's fill this in really quickly. And then I'm going to put this back here for the moment so I can see what I'm doing. Sometimes when I get to this point, I might even just pick the shed, and I often use a shed stick for this, just because if I'm doing just a few warps at a time, it's quicker. Oh, look at that. Did you see me do that? I totally split that weft. So the reason this looks so funny is that these warps are doubled, so it does look different than you might be used to. That's because over here, I'm using them single. That's where I'm getting the double set. So in that case, I had inadvertently split the two warps that were supposed to be together, which is certainly not what I want to do. All right, I want to go. Also, what comes along with the hot flash is that my eyes don't work as well anymore. So if you see me squinting, I needed to go to the optometrist, and now I can't go, so at least for a few weeks. All right, so here when I get to this point, I will check and see what the shed looks like. So let me change the shed. And I'm going to back this out a little more so you can see what I'm doing. I think that's focusing. So if I stuck this in here, I'm just looking at this half of the curve at the moment. I stuck this in here. Is my shed, is everything in the same shed? Holy cow. Almost, except for those two warps. So you can see that this is all ready to weave. And that's because I used meet and separate to build that. And this little part is the only part that's in the wrong shed. And I'm going to fix it by fudging. If there's any smarty pants weavers out there who disagree with how I do these things, don't tell me. Okay, so now I have everything in the same shed, and this is the last thing I wanted to show you on this weaving today. I will do a split weft outline. I have to decide what color to do next. I don't know. I'm using all the hot colors because obviously hot flashes. What do you think? How about pink and orange sometimes go well together. I'm using 3 strands of this silk at a time. So I'm going to use 2 pinks and 1 orange. And sorry, you could not see me do that. Hold on. Oops. Let's see if I can add this. Oh, I did it. So all I'm doing is lining up the, I'll have to figure out how to show you that better. I'm just lining up the threads and pulling off the same distance each time. So because this is so thin, it's actually a lot thinner than my weft bundle here. And I haven't finished this curve. I'll go back when I'm not on camera and fix that. I did, Jessica, mix them together. So orange, I mixed the orange and the pink, and I will do another one that it almost looks iridescent. You probably can't see that in the camera, but when you mix that pink in with the orange, it looks a little crazy. So what I have been doing for these is starting this in the center, and this is called a split weft outline. I just put in the same shed the silk with the one strand of the other color. And you want to pull in enough weft there so that your eccentric thing happens, but it doesn't bubble. This is one issue because this weft is actually too thin for this set. I have to try to get enough to sort of fill the gap between the two, or I'll have a hole. This will pack down enough you'll never see. There are actually holes down here too, but if I were weaving this way for a long time, I would put more silk in this bundle because it's just too thin. So I did that starting in the middle thing so that I wouldn't have more tails on the edge. And then I would have spliced those together, but I'm going to take that out later and finish the curve. And then from here, I just go back to, I might even pick up yarn from the back. Oh, I'm forgetting one thing. In this shed, again, I can do this because the silk is so thin and it's not a thick enough weft bundle. I'm putting the second half of the split weft. I talk about this in the warp and weft class a lot. And actually, one other thing, I could have done this instead of doing what I just did there. I could have, in the next shed, here's a tricky one. Just brought these back together. Sarah would have made that work out so that they just ended right there. So then I can shift the shed and I can start filling this in. And this is all in the same shed. So I will be able to just weave this over. And I do a tricky thing where I will come back down here eccentrically and fill this in. And then I'm going to fill in up to the next thing. So, okay, let me go back just a little bit. Okay, Missy said orange, Kit said pink. So I mixed them. I think it'll look good. I'll use them separately elsewhere. Hi, Michelle, glad you're here. The videos, these will live on my YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch them. Also, I didn't mention, but I put a page on my website. It's called Change the Shed, and it is under online learning. I'm actually just going to put the links for all the videos there also. So if YouTube feels a little challenging, you can go right to that page and you'll see them all there. They'll just be links that go to YouTube, but you can find the link so you can find the video easier. Thanks, Kit. Hi, Mary. Yeah, that's my Mary said that it's helpful to watch and have you explain what you're doing. So that's part of my thought about doing this, is just that and encouragement to get you all weaving. So I will be back tomorrow. I can't promise I'll be here every weekend, but I feel like we want to keep weaving right now when things are a little bit more difficult. And I can talk about the Tapestry Diary stuff, and I have a couple other looms with things going, but maybe tomorrow I'll show you the 16 EPI on this piece. And you can see how the double shed works with the 16 and the 8, which is kind of fun. Which is a new experiment for me. I have not done that very often, so it's working out pretty well. So thanks, you guys. I really did intend to keep these fairly short, but we'll just see what happens. And I think there were, yeah, about 100 people jumping on, so that's really encouraging to me that it might be helpful. And I hope to see you all tomorrow. I think the video will be up almost immediately. So thank you for coming. Oh, I'm also waiting for, I need a longer cable for this. You probably can't see this camera, which will be here in a few days, which will allow me to give you a wider view, and I will be able to show you different looms because with the longer camera cable, I can move this DSLR camera. So it's, here, I'll show you this thing. I don't have a long enough cable for it, but I will have one soon. So, yeah, thanks so much, you guys. I appreciate you showing up, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Also, if you had trouble finding it for any reason, I'll put further instructions on that change the shed thing on my website. So stay calm and keep weaving. Oh my gosh. So I think there's like a backup, and then I suddenly get a bunch of comments. You guys can probably hear that. I'm going to have to figure out how to turn off here. I bet that'll work. You probably don't want to hear that dinging all the time. Harlan, yes, I will talk about that tomorrow. And he wanted to know about the bottom coil. I don't have a bottom coil in this loom, so I'll talk about that tomorrow. Yep, Michelle, the video will be there. Jennifer, I love it. Okay, so Jennifer says, wait, I got to put this one up. We need a code word for if we've woven in the last 24 hours. So this would apply to me too, that I don't always weave every day. So I'm trying, but you know, it's hard. Anyway, thank you, Jennifer. That's funny. See you tomorrow, everybody. Okay. Oh, apparently you can scroll back to the beginning of the live feed. That's cool. I didn't even know that. Thank you, Dory. Okay, Karen, I'll show you tomorrow the 16 things per inch, and great. I'm going to keep this at the same time. I know it's not the best for everyone. If I get a lot of comments from Australia, maybe I'll pop one in at a different time that y'all can see it. But I think it works for a lot of people in the world. So, oh, thanks, Kit. That's good to know. I appreciate it. She just said she couldn't hear the dings, so it might just be me. I am off to continue working on this, and I'll set something up to show you tomorrow. Thanks to you all. You're the best.